Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Federal government says it has curtailed the activities of IPOB in Southeast region. In Osun State, angry youths burned down palace of Ire. On the foreign scene, South Africa opposition party demands snap poll after Farmgate scandal. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Okwayemuni. The federal government says it has recorded gains in the southeast region as the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB's Eastern Security Network ESN, no longer hold sway in the region. The National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, retired, stated this during the weekly ministerial briefing at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. It disclosed that the federal government was able to achieve this feat and many others through the deployment of its multi-billion naira Falcon Eye Maritime Intelligence Facility. The NSA revealed that some of IPOB's key commanders, including improvised explosive device experts, had been arrested and major camps destroyed. He added that their activities are being significantly curtailed as there is now a marked decline in the number and scale of attacks due to increased security operations by security agencies. The All Progressives Congress APC presidential candidate Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu has commended former President Goodluck Jonathan for ensuring a smooth transition of power in 2015. After the APC won the presidential election, Tinubu disclosed these when addressing party faithful and supporters in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa state capital, during his campaign in the state. He said Bayelsa will attain its potential as one of the country's largest producers of oil, adding that the state would not be what it is today if oil was not first discovered in the state. He lamented the state's underdevelopment and urged the people to vote for the APC to ensure its upliftment as he promised to turn the state into an industrial hub. He also lauded the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, who was from Bayelsa, for his efforts in fostering peace and democracy in Nigeria as well as in West Africa. Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade has said that Nigeria needs the presidential candidate of All Progressives Congress APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to fix the myriads of challenges bedeviling the country. Professor Ayade stated this during a news chart, adding that Tinubu has a large heart and experience to turn things around for the good of all Nigerians. He said besides his expertise as a two-term governor of Lagos State, the APC candidate has a recruitment process that guarantees confidence. Professor Ayade, who coordinates the ruling party's campaign for the South-South region, added that the balance of politics also favored the APC candidate. The new Nigeria People's Party NNPP presidential candidate Rabiu Kwakwanso has arrived in the United States for a crucial meeting with government officials. The former governor of Kano State shared an update of his trip with photos on his verified Twitter handle yesterday night. Kwakwanso did not speak further on the agenda of the meeting, but it was gathered that the visit was to earn more support for his candidacy ahead of the 2023 elections. Kwakwanso's trip to the United States is coming after other presidential candidates, including the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and Peter Obi of Labour Party, visited the country for electioneering purposes. The palace of Ire in Borikwe North Local Council Development Area of Osun State was yesterday evening vandalized and set on fire by angry youths in the town. The palace was said to have been burnt by youths who were not pleased about the arrest of the Aogun of Ire, Chief Soliu Atoyebi, by security agents yesterday morning. Reports said it was attacked and burnt around 7 p.m. when the traditional ruler, Obaponle Ademola, was said to be out of the palace. The incident led to the blockage of major roads leading to the town, while the aggrieved youths made bonfires on the roads. It will be recalled that Governor Ademola Adeleke had on Monday, a day after his inauguration, issued an executive order setting aside the appointment and enthronement of 3 traditional rulers, Are of Ire, Akinrun of Ikirun, and Owa of Ibajo. Governor Adeleke also directed that the policies of the 3 traditional rulers should be locked up, while security agents should take charge of the policies to prevent the breakdown of law and order. The Osun State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Osogbo has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to produce clearer and more legible copies of the Form CF-001 submitted to it by Governor Ademola Adeleke at the resumption of proceedings yesterday. A Deputy Director of INEC, Mrs. Joan Arabs, had presented copies of the Form CF-001 to the tribunal in line with an order made by the tribunal on November 25, 2022. Emmanuel Joadugele completes the story.
While examining the documents produced by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), counsel to the All Progressives Congress Lateef Fagbemi brought to the attention of the court that 2 segments of the 8-page document were not legible and as such could not be used to prosecute their case. Mr. Fagbemi noted that the page containing the Governor's West African Examination Council General Certification of Education and school testimonial from Ede Muslim Grammar School were illegible. Agreeing with the APC Council, Chairman of the Tribunal, Justice Tetsi Kume, ruled that it was unfortunate that unclear and blurry copies of the documents requested by the petitioner were presented by INEC, saying the body had not fully complied with its order to produce the Form CF-001. Justice Kume held that those material facts, including the name of the person who took the examination, as well as the location of the school in the pages, are blank and vacant, and the evidential value of the said document will be difficult to determine in the event that they are put to evidence. After a break at the behest of the counsel for INEC, Professor Paul Ananaba, for clearer documents in question to be produced, the tribunal was told that the only way forward was to bring the original file containing the documents in question. In line with his arguments, the tribunal asked the INEC Council to choose a date not beyond Saturday, December 3rd for the production of the file containing the documents or clearer versions of the documents. When the panel returned from another break, the INEC Council then applied for adjournment till Wednesday, 7th December to bring the document in question. But in its ruling, the tribunal held that the case is reluctantly adjourned to Saturday, 3rd December 2022 for the production of the legible copies of the said documents. Speaking outside the court, INEC Counsel Professor Ananaba said the commission will comply with the order despite the apparent constraints.
INEC is a very responsible organization which I've stated clearly at the tribunal. It's common knowledge that INEC leadership is on a retreat, so in Lagos. But despite that, we will do all that we can to comply with this order of the tribunal.
The tribunal has also warned that if the electoral umpire fails to produce the required documents, it will have no choice but to invoke its coercive powers.
The Akwa Ibom State chapter of the Young Progressives Party, YPP, has condemned the corruption indictment of its governorship candidate, Basi Albert. On Thursday, Mr. Albert was found guilty and given a 42-year prison term on 6 counts of corruption and money laundering by a federal high court in Uyo. But the leader of the YPP's governorship campaign in Akwa Ibom, Mr. M.M. Akpabio, called the court decision a judicial absurdity and a travesty of justice. Mr. Akpabio said the party would appeal the verdict, stating that the candidate's innocence was glaringly obvious from day one, but the EFCC instituted the case. According to him, the development was a brief setback intended to shake off their faith and push the YPP to the pinnacle of freedom. The EFCC had charged Mr. Albert, a senator representing Akwa Ibom Northeast District, alleging that he accepted a bribe of 12 cars valued at 254 million naira from an oil marketer while acting as a state's commissioner for finance between 2010 and 2014. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has secured 3,440 convictions on financial and cyber crimes across the country from January to November 2022. The chairman of the EFCC, Abdul Rashid Bawa, disclosed this while delivering a goodwill message at the opening of a workshop on financial crimes reporting organized by the Commission. Power represented by the zonal coordinator, zonal commander Farouk Dogondaji, said that the Commission will work to ensure the enforcement of the Electoral Act in the 2023 general elections. It disclosed that the Commission was working in close collaboration with the Independent National Electoral Commission and other stakeholders to preserve the integrity of the electoral process. He stated that in terms of prosecution of cases in court, the Commission between January and November 25, 2022 recorded 3,440 convictions and 2 more ongoing cases. The Rivers State government has reacted to the statement of President Muhammadu Buhari accusing state governors of tampering with funds meant for the local government. President Buhari reiterated the accusation yesterday in Aso Rock during an event hosting members of a senior executive course 44 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. Reacting to the allegation, the Rivers State's Commissioner for Information and Communication, Chris Fibone, stated vehemently that the allegation have nothing to do with Rivers State. He stated that the state government is 100% certain that local government are being allotted their funds appropriately. Fine-Bone added that in the state, the governor augments the local government finances to keep them solvent so that they can pay teachers' salaries and benefits to their staff as at when due. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break. You're welcome back on the news. Now to the rest of the stories. The ECOWAS Council of Ministers has commenced its 89th ordinary session to discuss issues confronting the sub-regions and make recommendations represented at the ECOWAS Head of States. Chair of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers and Guinea-Bissau's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Suzy Barbosa, said that the sub-region have been troubled by human and food insecurity and incessant coup d'etats, climate change, and other issues. On the spot, Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Zubairu Dada, said the ordinary session of the Council remained a veritable platform for reviewing the programs of ECOWAS and brainstorming on thematic issues of the region. While speaking, President of the ECOWAS Commission, Omar Toure, said the new management of the ECOWAS Commission is committed to delivering institutional reforms, restoring constitutional rule to Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso, and programs that will impact on West African citizens. The ministerial meeting, which started yesterday in Abuja, will focus on strengthening governance and political stability in the sub-region, addressing food insecurity, terrorism, and extremism, amongst other challenges.
As we know, throughout the world, there has been an economic crisis and our region has not been spared. We face both the COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukraine crisis, as well as a food crisis and other challenges which have affected our people. In addition, our sub-region has also faced violent extremism and terrorism.
This year's agenda is robust, which is a testament to the commitment of ECOWAS institutions and member states to the integration and developmental goals of our sub-region. At this August gathering, we will be considering, as we did in the past, several issues affecting critical areas of the community through reports and memoranda on our agenda.
The size of the Commission has been reduced as part of the institutional reforms, but the work of realigning the new structures and improving the processes and procedures of the organization is just starting. With this is the task of ensuring that the programs and projects of ECOWAS are redesigned to ensure higher impact on the lives of the community citizens, as well as foster closer cooperation among member states and economic integration of the sub-region.
We now move to business. The federal government says the Abuja-Kaduna train services would commence on Monday, December 5th, 2022. Speaking to NAN, Managing Director of Nigeria Railway Corporation, Fidet Okiria, said all was set for resumption of operations. Mr. Okiria, however, advised passengers to begin updating their mobile apps as from December 3rd, 2022, to enable them to successfully book for rides. He noted that services will commence with 2 train rides from Abuja to Kaduna and vice versa. And to the foreign scene, South Africa's opposition Democratic Alliance Party plans to table a motion in Parliament calling for an early election as President Cyril Ramaphosa grapples with a scandal that has the potential to cost him his job. The president has been accused of covering up a $4 million theft from his farm in 2020, including kidnapping and bribing the burglars into silence, but he denies any wrongdoing. The country's parliament is set to examine a report on the scandal and decide whether or not to launch impeachment proceedings next week. The leader, John Shenhushen, said that the country cannot leave it up to the ruling party to choose the future of a country, referring to an upcoming ANC conference where Mr. Ramaphosa will seek a second term as leader of the ruling party. He added that the motion for an early election would need a simple majority of 50% plus one of the National Assembly to vote for the dissolution of government, which would then trigger an early election. Burkina Faso's interim leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has announced that he was the target of a coup attempt last week. In a meeting with civil society organizations, Captain Traoré confirmed the coup attempt and said he knew who was behind it, but was not going to make any arrest, as he prefers dialogue and the situation is under control. Captain Traoré took power in Burkina Faso on the 30th of September through a coup by ousting his predecessor, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henri Damiba, who himself had seized power through a coup. In Europe, a senior official has said up to 13,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed since the start of Russia's invasion. Mikhailo Podolyak, an advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, said between 10,000 and 13,000 troops had died. Neither Ukraine nor Russia tend to release figures for casualties, and Mr. Podolyak's comments have not been confirmed by Ukrainian military. In June, he said between 100 and 200 Ukrainian soldiers were dying daily. Last month, the most senior U.S. General, Mark Milley, said around 100,000 Russian and 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed or wounded since the start of the war. In sport, Germany crashed out of a FIFA World Cup on a remarkable night of drama despite victory over Costa Rica at Al Bayt Stadium. Japan's controversial 2-1 victory against Spain would have eliminated Germany anyway, but Hansi Flick's side needed 3 points to give themselves any chance of reaching the last 16. They completed their part of a bargain, but it was to no avail as the 4-time champions finished third in the group and were eliminated on goal difference. Roberto Martinez has ended his tenure as Belgium coach following the team's early exit from the World Cup. The Spaniard was appointed in 2016 and was out of contract after the World Cup. Belgium, who claimed third place in 2018, went into the tournament as the world's second-ranked team. But the Red Devils were eliminated after a dismal group stage, which saw them upset by Morocco and scored just 1 goal. And before we end the news, here's a recap of our top stories. The federal government says it has recorded gains in the southeast region as the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB's Eastern Security Network, ESN, no longer hold sway in the region. The palace of Are in Boripa North Local Council Development Area of Osun State was yesterday evening vandalized and set on fire by angry youths in the town. On the foreign scene, South Africa's Opposition Democratic Alliance Party plans to table a motion in Parliament calling for an early election as President Cyril Ramaphosa grapples with a scandal that has the potential to cost him his job. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter